Hour 2 of Budweiser's weekday sports beat. And you know what that means, Vince? It's rapid fire time.
I do know what it means, and I'm excited about it.
All right.
All right.
Salty says we look pensive. I don't know. About
that. That's deep. It's too early for pensive. Like, I'm not ready to be pensive yet. I'm not watching my kid kick or watching a big fourth down play for Notre Dame. Like, I'm not pensive yet.
Concur. Okay. We're likely going to find out who Notre Dame's captains are very soon. So, what are your final predictions for who's going to end up being a captain for Notre Dame this season?
This is so hard. I hate doing these because
that's why I did it.
I know, because you're a glutton for punishing me. That's how this works.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I there are a lot of leadership qualities on this team. And so you can't necessarily go wrong with a lot of these guys, right? So I am going to go with 2 on offense and 2 on defense and just keep it simple, okay? Even though there'll probably be more than 4, that's where I'm going. So believe it or not, I do think my first one's a transfer, and I think he's getting a lot of publicity right now for being in the Goog all the time and spending the night there and all that stuff. So I think Will Pauling has a chance of being a captain, and he was a captain at Wisconsin.
I've got him on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Look at you. Okay. All right.
Hear a lot of things about his leadership, from coaches and players and everybody over there. And like you hear, like we heard Mike Brown talking about, this is a guy who shows up at 5:30 in the morning to get over there and go to work. So I think he's a really good candidate list.
Yep.
Doesn't happen very often for a non-quarterback position player transfer.
Right. The next one I'm going to go offensive line, and I'm actually going to go Billy Shrath here. I think that he is the most talented offensive lineman right now that is healthy. I think he is a beast, and I think he's got leadership qualities about him as well. And so I am going to take Billy Shrath on offense.
I matched you with that one as well. We're 2 for 2.
Man, holy cow. This is crazy. Okay.
It's scary.
This is very scary. Okay. Flipping over to the defensive side of the football, I think this one, I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but it's got to be right up there. I think Drake Bowen is going to end up being a captain.
3 for 3. I think coming into training camp, he was probably the lock of everybody to be a captain this season.
I do feel that way as
well.
How
it felt. Yep. Okay, so we got Shrath, Pauling, Bowen. That's 3.
I really this next one is actually fairly difficult for me because I feel like everybody across the defensive line is probably too young, hasn't really contributed enough yet, unless I'm forgetting somebody that, but I feel like that's the case. So I'm out on the defensive line.
Me too.
We've got linebacker covered.
Yep.
Okay. I know a lot of people would like me to say Adon Scheler here, but I don't think they're going to make a sophomore, or a redshirt sophomore. I just don't think he's going to be a captain.
He's been around the program for 3 years, though.
I know.
The players vote on it.
That's true. I'm throwing my chips over to the Christian Gray category.
Okay.
Because I do think he shows resilience. I think he's actually a very good player. I think the players like him, and I think he's, I think he has a lot of leadership qualities as well. So I'm going Christian Gray as my second defensive captain.
Here's where we split. I don't disagree with what you're talking about with Christian Gray and his leadership qualities and resiliency and all that stuff. I would say A+ on those accounts. But I think that I think Adon Scheler is going to end up like in terms of like most likely candidate from the secondary. That's who I would go for. Okay. Sportsman Philly 22 says Leonard Moore for captain. Could happen. Would be very rare for sophomore to be captain, though.
That's
why I think Adon Scheler, again, eligibility-wise, he's a sophomore as well. But this is his 3rd season. So, going into his 3rd season, just like Drake Bowen, he's been around a little bit. And in terms of guys who are going to be out there on the field, like vocal guy, and a guy who's been around and got a lot of playing experience as well. So that's why I'm going in with Scheler.
Okay, I have no argument with Scheler. He has shown some exemplary leadership qualities on the field that we've been able to see, like coaching up guys and getting whoever's going to be safety next to him ready to go. So I have no pushback on Adon Scheler in any way, shape, or form. I think he's a great kid, and I would not be surprised in any way if he ended up being a captain.
That's 4. Do you think we get 5?
I'm going to say this as a dark horse candidate, Eli Raridan.
Craig just asked that in the YouTube.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even see that. So Eli Raridan, I think, is a dark horse because he has been around the program for a very, very long time, has obviously shown resiliency with his injury history, and all of those different things. And frankly, he's been balling out from what we have actually seen with our own eyes, as well as what we're hearing from sources too. So
yeah,
I think he's a dark horse candidate for me.
Get some other nominations, Faison, Sneed. I'm wondering what kind of, Jeremiah Love, not the most vocal guy, at least from what we get to see, fairly low key, kind of maybe a lead by example type guy. But I like very high work ethic, obviously very high skill level, again, like when you talk about lead by example and some of those kind of things. So I wonder where he fits into the mix. So you can take Raridan. I'll take Jeremiah Love as a possibility.
Jeremiah Love would not surprise me, Sean, because they have shown a tendency to select a captain of a guy who they know is probably going to be out of here after 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that wouldn't necessarily surprise me. Kind of like they did with Benjamin Morrison. They knew he wasn't coming back for his senior year. They make him a captain. Again, he has leadership qualities
this
too.
Process that they use now too, where they get up in front of the room and they tell everybody why they want to be the captain and all that kind of stuff. Like how much that kind of comes into play. This is one in the back of my mind I've been wondering about. Father David says Kevin Bowman, dark horse candidate, and I do wonder, but like I think that he would have made, like, had he stayed healthy, I think that he probably maybe could have worked his way in there. I don't know, like now that he's, retired and all that kind of stuff, like how any of that play into it, I guess.
Right. And I want to say I saw a clip, because they're starting to talk about the documentary and all that stuff that's going to come out, and they're not even going to premiere it until December, which is bogus.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought I saw a clip of him actually up at the front talking about, why he wanted to be a captain. And obviously, this was prior to his injury.
Yeah.
So, that's definitely a dark horse candidate for sure.
Yep. Okay. So Salty Virginia Peanuts in the YouTube chat, very upset with me. He says, that does it. I'm not submitting any more in-outs if they're not going to be read. As usual, he waits till the last minute. I went and checked the timestamp. It did say 4:40.
Okay, so you did get in under the wire.
But the thing is, you have to hit refresh to, for like the new ones to show up. They don't just, it doesn't auto load by itself. Like once I open the browser for the chat where the we in, we outs are submitted, anything that's on the Champions Lounge, it doesn't just auto populate.
Correct.
You have to physically hit refresh. So I had opened it. I scrolled all the way to the bottom, hit refresh at least once after I opened it. Apparently that must have been before 4:41 when Salty put in his question. So here is a bonus we in, we out that we'll do in rapid fire from Salty Virginia Peanuts in the YouTube. The departure of Chad Bowden has helped Irish recruiting in general and Al Washington most of all. Washington does best when he can pick his guys early and just stay with them for a couple of years. Interferences and challenges from Bowden were always a barrier for him. In or out on that, Vince?
That's a lot of information to just take off the hizzy. Let's see.
I do think that I have always thought that the way, quite a coincidence if Chad Bowden didn't have something to do with it. The way defensive line recruiting has picked up in these last 6 months.
Yeah.
Chad Bowden went to Southern California and Al Washington has been here, maybe without some of that. Looking at the defensive line recruiting has gone through the roof since Chad Bowden has left. So I'll just
coincidence.
I know. I'll just go in on this.
Okay. I'll ride your coattails right on through this one and say I'm in on it as well. I love it. Al Washington has been one of the more polarizing coaches that are still on the staff. And I find that very fascinating as well. People just despised him for a while. And now, he's pulling in these recruits and doing what he's doing, coaching
He's
these
the golden
guys up.
child.
And now he's the man, So love it.
I know. Yep, the tide has definitely swung. It has turned on Al Washington. That's for sure. Fill in the blank. Notre Dame practiced at Penn High School last night after practicing at School Field in South Bend last week. The off-campus practices at local high schools are blank, Vince.
I like them. They're a change of pace.
School Field, or is it like? I know it's got a naming. Like, we're still calling it School Field.
Well, it is School Field, but it's Everwise.
Like a sponsor. Okay,
Everwise School
Field.
It's
changed a couple times.
It used to be TCU, and then Everwise bought TCU, and it's the same thing at Penn. Actually, it used to be TCU Freed Field, and now it's Everwise Freed Field.
Okay,
so there you
All
go.
Right. Good enough.
So we got the plug out there.
Yeah, got all the sponsors in.
Yes, I actually like it. I think it's a change of pace for the players. I think that it, gets them out of their comfort zone a little bit, which I think is actually a very good thing. I do find it very comical that they try to keep these things a secret, and then they take 4 Royal Excursion buses with police escorts, down the road
to the high school.
Yeah, I mean, police escort in the back, in the front, like you could do it a little more stealthily. If you really wanted to keep it a secret, but whatever. But overall, I think it's a good idea to get the guys off campus. It's not far.
I mean, if you really wanted to be stealth, just get some PHM school buses.
Right.
Get like 10 school buses and have them pull up to Notre Dame campus and just roll out there with no police escort. No one's going to know, any different. Just have the police cars kind of set up to make sure they can get in and out and whatever, or go with some unmarked cars, I guess. But yeah, you're exactly right. Not exactly stealth.
No,
you've got to roll that way.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But I think it's cool. I like this better than when they used to pack up and start training camp down at Culver Academies.
That was awful.
No, I mean, like for us, it was brutal. I get why Brian Kelly did it, but like part of the reason was also we had a kid who was going there for at least part of the time, and there was kind of like helping out. But they did it. They had the dorms set up so they could actually camp down there and the whole thing, and they had multiple fields and everything. But I like this because you're kind of spreading the love right here in town, and you're giving the South Bend School Corporation and the Penn Harris Madison Corporation, and I think they've been to St. Joe before as well. You're giving some of these local places the opportunity to have Notre Dame on campus. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah, and they let the high school team, watch practice for the first 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, so you're kind of building some relationships, in town and stuff like that.
I dig that because I've complained many times about how ticket prices are pricing the local people out of going to games, as opposed to when I was a kid and I was able to get tickets pretty easily to go to games. And that's partly how I fell in love with Notre Dame. Being a Notre Dame fan was going to the games, and unless you've got connections or, all those different and deep pockets, you don't get to go to games as a high school kid. You know what I mean? And so having them on the, at the local high schools, interacting with the kids to a degree, I think that's huge. And it also allows them, I always liked it because it allowed the kids to actually see, this is what a high Division I football team actually looks like.
Yeah.
From a size standpoint, from a speed standpoint, this is how they operate during practice. You like to see that sort of thing to bring some expectations to your own team. So I like it.
I think has Mishawaka had him over there before as well?
Maybe. I think maybe.
Last year.
That would make sense.
In the spring even, something like that.
Yeah. It's been since they got the turf. because they would have never had him out on the grass, I would imagine. So
not that grass.
No.
Sand traps.
Oh, awful. The spray painted dirt.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty cool the way they're doing that now with the local high schools. It's rapid fire, and we have been crawling through some rapid fire. I wanted to
just a little bit.
I wanted to put this one up from Irish English, who submitted this question for the we in or we out portion of the show. He says, visors are for guys that are afraid of commitment. Either wear a hat or don't, Kiffin. Are we in or we out on that, Vince?
Well, that feels very pointed. It's funny because to be a visor guy, you have to be a certain type of guy. And generally, I don't get along with visor guys. So I'm in on it. I'm in.
I tried wearing a visor for a little bit. This was a long time. It was when I still had hair. But then when I saw a picture of the back of my head and, the spot was starting to form, I was like, it's kind of stupid to wear a visor and have that developing on the back of my head.
That's fair.
So I did without. Now, the other aspect of this is my guy, Brian Schottenheimer. I don't know if you've seen him. He likes to wear his visors backwards, which is like a whole nother element of this whole thing.
Wow.
Coaches are big. More coaches are big on the visors, it seemed like. Started with Steve Spurrier.
Well, offensive coaches love the visor.
That's true.
I'm going to go on and say that because, and I'm even thinking, like you said, Spurrier, Kiffin, who else am I thinking about? Kelly. Kelly's a visor guy.
Kelly is a visor guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And there's a couple of local high school people that I know that are visor guys. They're all offensive guys.
You think it's a golf thing?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Golfers, big visor guys, it seems like.
Yeah. It's just visor guys just rub me the wrong way in general.
Visor guy or hat backwards guy? Which rubs you worse?
Hat backwards guy is fine if you are on a baseball field and are a player. I'm okay with hat backward, like a Ken Griffey Jr. at batting practice.
Yeah,
hat backwards. Let's roll. Other than that, I'm not a hat backwards guy at all. Once you hit like 24, you need to stop wearing the hat backwards.
I tend to agree. I used to be a hat backwards guy when I was young, but that was essentially like, through high school. Hat backwards guy right after high school. Still, young guy, but it's been pretty much, bill forward, bill, pull down the bill, kind of like, like the way a ball player would wear it or whatever.
Correct.
It's yeah. Father David says, once you're over 25, wear a hat properly.
That's all I'm saying. No cock to the side, none of that stuff. Just, come on.
Yep.
Let's go.
I concur.
Vince is a beret guy. Come on, Bobby.
A beret.
Come on,
I want to see Vince in his raspberry beret.
Oh, that's a song reference. I got that one.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Glad. I'm a trucker hat guy. I like a fitted trucker hat. That's where I'm at.
Me too.
So,
not so much the fitted, because my head size, I do much better with the snap fit on the back.
I like the old school fitted like baseball hats. Those are tough because they shrink and they expand. Like those are tough. But I like the new style, like the flex fit. Big fan of the flex fit.
See, I don't like the flex fit because because it's the elastic in there and it ends up being much snugger on my head than I appreciate. I like a little room. I like it to move around.
You got to size up, man.
I want it on my terms, Vince.
It's always about you.
That's
always about you.
That's right. Okay, we heard some comments from Notre Dame wide receivers coach Mike Brown earlier this week. One guy we didn't get to hear him talk about is freshman Elijah Burress. I asked Brown what kind of training camp Elijah Burress has had.
Great camp, man. He's a special young man. He's extremely competitive, works very hard. He's hungry. Obviously, he's talented, and so. He's still young. But I'm really excited where he is. Obviously, like I said, man, he's made a lot of really big plays, and I think the future is really bright for him.
A lot of really big plays. Future is really bright. What are your expectations for Elijah Burress this season, Vince?
Oh, see, that's tough. My expectations for Elijah Burress are to maybe crack the rotation. But I would say my realistic expectations is that he's probably going to be on the outside looking in, and maybe is like the first group off the bench once the game's in hand, that type of thing, and be a significant special teams player like that. That's okay too, as a freshman. That you don't want to always be counting on freshmen. I think that's the big thing. Look, he's been playing really well. There's no doubt about it. It's a crowded wide receiver room right now. He's not going to crack the top 4. I think we can all agree on that. And then you get down to the Micah Gilbert. He would probably be 5. Maybe, the best opportunity he would have is to be 6. That's the best chance he's got.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to go much past 6. So that's the best opportunity that he has, I think.
I think so as well. I think he's going to be right on the bubble. He might not necessarily start in the top 6, but I could see him, just what we've seen from him so far, I could see him getting some opportunities, and maybe he works his way in there over the course of the season. But, I think that he's one of those guys who's going to come out, and when he gets some opportunities, it just feels like he's going to make the most of them. And when he does that, I think at some point he's probably going to be really hard to keep off the field.
Look, he's got the intangibles, right? He's got dad. He understands the game. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's going to be a really, really good player. I just don't, I'm trying to temper the expectations as a true freshman. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, because it's been so hard for these guys to get on the field, but at the same time, with the way they continue to recruit and they get these guys here, like I think we're going to start seeing more of them get on the field earlier. The big thing is, like, I think especially when you look at wide receivers, because even like it's been a little bit different maybe within the last 10 to 12 years. It used to be, even going college to the NFL, like as a rookie, it was really hard for those guys to get on the field. But I think because so much of the offenses have started to borrow from college concepts and stuff like that, I think that maybe that has played a role in some of these guys getting on the field earlier. I think the talent obviously has something to do with it as well. But like when you look at so many of these guys coming out of high school, the difference in the kind of programs that they came from, where you can get away, with so many things based on talent alone, specific to playing wide receiver. Like you don't have to be as precise in your routes, like you can round, your routes, and you can be, a little less sharp with some of that stuff. But, once you get here, you're going to be held to a different standard. And it's the guys, who are able to adapt to that and become more consistent early on, who I think are going to continue to get on the field early.
Yeah, I think
But I think he can be one of them. Yeah.
I want to address a comment that was in the chat. And let's see here. It's from I Am Tenzin. He says, as long as he doesn't pull an Urlacher because of the depth chart. This is a 1-year depth chart, in my opinion, for at wide receiver, right? Like Urlacher left because the talent in that room was young, and he wasn't going to be able to get over it because they were either his age or younger. This situation, Malachi Fields is going to be gone. Will Pauling's going to be gone pretty quickly. Great House, phase out. Like those guys are going to age out. And so he's not going to have to wait as long. Right. So I don't think that it's the same type of scenario. I think he may have to wait this year to play a significant role, but I don't feel like that's going to be an issue, moving. I don't think the depth chart's an issue for him moving forward.
Yeah. Because once this year's done, Malachi Fields and Will Pauling are both gone. If he's on the bubble pushing for time this year, he's going to find himself in the rotation next year. There's no doubt in my mind.
Completely agree.
I don't see it as I think So I agree with what you're saying. I don't see it as like the same kind of issue there.
Yeah. Yep. I think I've been impressed with Saldate. I think he's actually played really well this fall.
Yeah.
Impressed obviously with Richardson, been impressed with Gilbert. And so you've got the 4 guys that are kind of locked in, and those other 2 spots, what is that going to look like? I think that's yet another thing that we're all going to be kind of keeping track of, and how deep they go kind of into that rotation in the big games.
By the way, there were some other questions that came in that we in or we out thread that I will save for rapid fire on tomorrow's show. We'll go ahead and get them in there after I hit refresh, and I saw Salties, and then I was like, oh, I just kept scrolling, and I was like, oh, there's even more after this. So I apologize for not seeing some of those questions that were in there. But again, I think it was like after I got in and I pulled it up and I was getting stuff set up in the studio, needed to hit refresh one more time. So appreciate them. We'll get them in there tomorrow.
Just got to be patient. That's
we
all.
Won't forget about them.
No big deal.
So we also heard from Max Bulla, linebackers coach this week. Here's what he said about Teddy Rezac.
Teddy's awesome. Teddy's one of the glue pieces of the room. I'm not in there. I think he and his brother are both glue pieces of the team. Much more talkative in there than they are to us as coaches. It's funny, but no, they're like Kingston. I know went with visits with Teddy like after being here for a year. Went back to Omaha with him in 35. Teddy's been working with Madden, so it's been Madden and Teddy. Like you said, Teddy's got high IQ. It's been able to help Madden along, which has been very beneficial because we've been doing a lot of two spot, which is one field, two field. And then the amount of reps that they can get over there that's everything. Just get reps. Even if you mess it up, get reps. And to be able to do it with someone like Teddy, who I pretty much trust and understand, and at least I know where his thoughts are, I think that's where his value's been as much as anything. And the guy can run. He's a football player.
All right, Vince. The guy's a football player. Where does Teddy Rezac fit in for Notre Dame, do you think?
He is going to be a starter on every special team that they've got, and I think that he is the fifth man right now. And it's tough because, I've heard people discuss the fact that the linebacker room could potentially be one of the best in the country, and to the detriment of Teddy Rezac, because he is super talented, but there's 4 guys ahead of him right now that are also super talented, and he's working with a third team. And I think that's a good place for him right now as far as defense is concerned. But I also think he's going to be a stalwart starter on special teams, which is fantastic. I mean, sign me up. Give me a helmet. I would love to be a starter on special teams. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great spot for him, and I think it'll be very beneficial to the team.
He'll be a core special teams guy this year, and I mean, Madden Faramo is going to be in that picture as well because it's basically Rezac and Faramo who are behind that group of the 4 guys who are going to be in that rotation. So I won't bother repeating everything that you just said because I think that you pretty much nailed it with that. Tommy Gunn's going back to Notre Dame practicing at the high school facilities. Tommy says, where do the local teams practice when Notre Dame takes over their field? Well, practice just started for high school. Was it this week or last week?
It was last week.
But they're mostly practicing in the morning, I think.
So
still, right?
I can only speak to Penn. Right, because I know what their schedule looks like and how they operate. Yesterday, when Notre Dame practiced there, it was one of Penn's 2-a-days, and their 2-a-day gets over at 4:00. They go 8 to 4, and they have 2 practices and then meetings and stuff in the middle. And Notre Dame's practice was at night; it was like at 7:30, so it's plenty of time to swap it out.
Right, and in terms of school field, Washington and Adams share that as their home field, but so that stadium is not located on either home campus.
Yes, welcome to South Bend.
Both schools actually have to travel to use that as their home stadium. Adams is a little bit closer, but they both have practice fields, next to their high schools. So they don't use school field, for example, as a practice field.
I know that Adams does go to school field every now and again, but it's a very simple
but
thing
in general,
to stay at school because, fun fact, not one South Bend school plays football on their own campus. So that's interesting. All the campuses, all the football fields are at a middle school. So there's that. But yeah, I saw Frankie Karczewski, he's the head coach at Adams. He did his interview, locally, and they were at school field that day. So they go there every once in a while.
They just go over to Clay. Nobody's using that one anymore.
Right. Actually, Clay is great. I don't know if they're keeping it up still since it's closed. But the football field at Clay Middle, which is where Clay High School plays, the turf was always really, really good.
Yeah.
So
in terms of grass fields, it was probably the best one in the area.
Yeah. So, Notre Dame could go there without much of a problem and practice because they want to be on grass because of Miami and all that kind of thing.
That's right. Are they even like? Is the middle school still open?
Oh yeah,
Clay Middle.
it's a K-8 building now.
Okay,
Yep.
so I wonder if they're using it for their, like middle school football
knows?
or anything like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. That's one heck of a middle school stadium.
Yep. All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight. Again, the questions we didn't get to and we in, we out, we'll use in rapid fire tomorrow. Appreciate all the questions that we got today. Vince, I will talk to you tomorrow, sir.
I'll be there. See you
All
then.
right. We will talk to you then. South Bend Cubs baseball is on the way on Sports Radio WSBT.